Kumbaya, my lord. This isn't just kumbaya talk. Purpose drives impact. Looking to empower up your day? Tune in to Evolve Together with Empower People on ESPN Richmond, powered by Mike King Biz. Join me, host and Empower People founder Tiffany Joy Greene, MBA, as I bring dynamic leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs to share their journeys, challenges, and successes while driving their purpose to drive positive impact and empower people. Empower People is an organization that provides education, connection, and support to mission and purpose-driven leaders to drive positive impact and empower people. Catch us every Tuesday at 5 a.m. on ESPN Richmond and join Empower People today. What are you waiting for? We even have a free membership. That's right, free. Visit www.empowerpeople.org. That is MPWRPeople.org. You can also visit us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Evolve together.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mike King here. This is part of the Mike King Biz Media Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1, International Business Coach Radio, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as well as the Hounds of Business community. All we do is we showcase business in a different way. So it is the Empower Hour. Mike King is here with you. We got the Princess of Purpose, Tiffany Greene. Welcome back, ma'am.
Well, thank you. My son tried out my tiara, so.
Okay, so she is the Princess of Purpose. She's always out there talking about purpose in business. I said to her, nonprofits are always begging for money. And you told me?
Who isn't?
Everybody's out there asking for money. All right, Tiffany Greene, this is the Empower Hour. We do this the first Wednesday every month. Talk about the Empower Hour. Tell people who you are.
So I'm Tiffany Greene, or Tiffany Joy Greene, and I am the founder of Empower People. Empower People is an organization that provides education, connection, and support to mission and purpose-driven leaders to drive positive impact and empower people. And Empower Hour was created for the benefit of small business and nonprofits who have business management and leadership questions. And dang it, they want access to some professionals to ask their questions and not have to pay a hefty price tag. Well, guess what? We created the Empower Hour, and there is no price tag. This is your chance to come ask our experts your business management and leadership questions for free. The only thing is, guess what? As you can see, we're being filmed for ESPN Richmond, powered by Mike King himself. So you're gonna have to agree to that. But outside of that, it's free.
It is free. And how can people find Tiffany Joy Greene out there?
Well, I've recently learned, Mike, you can find me by looking for my unique card. But outside of that, you can find me online at empowerpeople.org, MPWRPeople.org. Find us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube.
Hashtag. All righty, so you've assembled your squad, your superhero squad. Okay, so who do we have with us today?
Oh, I gotta say this. They're not just a superhero squad, they're an Empower People certified small business and nonprofit squad. And I can't say this enough or stress this enough that they've gone through almost 2 years of training, coaching, and support to become our certified small business and nonprofit advisor. So I'm going to keep putting that plug in there. They need to get accolades for that. So, but now we can pass the baton off and let everybody introduce themselves.
All righty, first up, who do we have?
Brian
Kinzie, Tinker HR in the building.
Good morning. My name is Brian Kinzie. My company is Tinker HR. We provide fractional HR support to small business and nonprofits, helping them with their people problems. So anything from assistance with, employee handbooks, recruitment, retention, compliance, sticky employee issues, general HR strategy, all those things that HR departments do for big companies, we do fractionally for small companies and nonprofits.
Brian, very quickly, what are sticky issues?
Oh, let's see. Ones I've had in the past week, an employee with some hygiene problems.
Oh, okay, Brian. Thank you very much.
How to appropriately come to the employee and let them know that they have an issue they need to take care of there and do it the right way, as opposed to ways that could get you in trouble. So that was the most fun recent one we've had.
That one's literally sticky, potentially.
That's potentially, yes.
But did that have to be delivered in person, or can we just do this by Zoom, email, or some other method? I would prefer those.
The owner ended up delivering the message in person directly to the employee, which is the appropriate way of handling it. So it went well, actually. So
Tiffany Green, do we have an award for that owner?
An award? We can get
That owner deserves an award for going to them and telling them to step up their hygiene game.
this is definitely one where everyone would like to remain anonymous. For the sake of all parties involved, no one wants this one out in public. So
if we do it the wrong way, then we're going to need to connect with our counsel, John Rabil, because this might turn into a legal situation if we play our cards right.
Mike, I just have to say, it sounds like he might win the Mess-Free Leadership Award.
Oh, very okay. Yes, boy, she's a sharp one, ladies and gentlemen. To Tiffany Green, 2 shows nightly. John Rabil is up next.
Good morning. I'm John Rabil. I own Entrepreneur Legal Advisors, or ELA. So we're a law firm. We work with small, mid-sized companies, entrepreneurs, basically as in-house counsel for them. So often business owners come to us because they're worried they've got some risks they don't recognize. They're scared about that liability, and they're looking for a strategic advisor who can help them. And they want to find some legal services that are efficient, effective, and affordable.
All righty, thank you, sir. Next up, Stacie Goodman. That is Origamic Solutions. She is our processes person who, processes in order. When she walks in, they say attention on deck. Well, not really, but in essence, that's what they do. They help us with our order so we can operate in a more smooth operational manner. Stacie Goodman.
See, I've been on Mike's show long enough. He knows my pitch lines now already. Thank you, Mike.
That's what I've learned.
Yeah, I'm telling you. My best student. I'm Stacie Goodman. I am the founder and principal consultant of Origamic Solutions. As Mike said, we do focus on operational excellence and helping small businesses and large businesses, the state, whoever needs our help, to improve their operational efficiencies, their cost effectiveness in this time and age with the inflation and things of that nature. Businesses need to be mindful of their cost and the cost of doing business. And so we help them make sure that they understand their processes and the lead times and the cost required to do so. We also help to make companies to identify how to utilize the existing systems more effectively. So, and some cost reduction opportunities there potentially if they are a Microsoft Office 365 suite user. There are a lot of applications that can be used that don't cost you anymore, but may replace some older systems that you had selected in the past that you're paying monthly fees for. So we can help map that. And then we help young and new entrepreneurs or even existing companies who haven't gone through building their infrastructure, such as their operations manuals and organizational structures, things of that nature, that business plans, and making sure all of that's in place so that they are prepared to grow and move forward and start collecting data and understanding what that data means so they can make data-based decisions.
There you go, Stacie Goodman. She helps me to understand there is a rhythm and cadence to business. Hey, shout out to Cadence, Chris Mayfield. We just dropped that in you because you're a Marine out there. But she also helps you with the life cycle of your business, all of those things. All right, next up we have Kristen. Kristen, welcome back, ma'am.
Wait, Mike, we got to make sure that we get to our questions first, and we'll let our guests and advisors from our advisory council have an opportunity closer to the end of the show to say who they are. But right now, I think we need to dive into some questions, and we got a person, and they volunteered their website. So somebody's going to be known here in a short second. This is not going to remain, confidential.
We didn't come here to keep a secret.
Can't keep the secret when the website's in there. But the
There we go.
question is, would love to discuss potential networking opportunities for my new business, lauraKastner.com, and the best avenue to pursue those.
All right. Laura, really quickly, it is being in the room where people can say yes to what you're trying to talk about. Everyone can say no. Everyone can say no to kill a dream, to kill an idea, to kill an opportunity. But if you're in the room with the people who can say yes, and sometimes that is going to rooms where you don't know people. And if there's ever a person who's not that great with going to places I don't know people, it is me. One of the reasons I wear my name on everything as well, because that way I don't have to tell people who I am. It's like, oh, you're Mike King. That starts the conversation. That cuts out one of the questions for people who are more introverted walking into a network opportunity. So I say be in the room where the people are, go to a number of different things. Just, you don't have to talk to everyone. You don't have to be a social butterfly, but figure out who's who. I never go into a meeting now without looking to see who people are. Those days are gone. You know, just blindly walking in. Hi, Bob. I like fishing. I see because you have a picture of a fish up on the wall. We don't do that anymore. So that's my take on it.
I think a big point that I would like to address with networking is something that I don't feel like is talked about enough, which is networking is not about you, it's about everybody else you're trying to talk to. So a lot of people put so much focus on the elevator pitch, purpose statement, which they're important, don't get me wrong. But remember, when you have a business, this is not about you, it's about who you want to serve. So when you're in that in a situation where you can begin networking, it's really about getting to know other people. And doing your research before going to an event to see who's going to be there and kind of prioritize, like, I absolutely have to know this person because this person is aligned with me. So I'm going to, like, you have to have homework before you go to that event to say, I'm going to meet, you know, make it reasonable, right? So if the event's short, don't say, I'm going to meet 20 people. Like, that might not be realistic, but like at least have your top two and say, I'm gonna meet these two. I'm gonna have done my homework. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to go to their website, know a lot about them. So then that way, when I start asking them questions, it's just not like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, oh, I know that you love Virginia Tech. You graduated in it. Did you play too? Like, get them talking about themselves and make it personable. That is probably the biggest advice I can say is active listening is more important than being able to sell yourself, because there's a lot of people who avoid networking events. A lot of people in the Power Hour right now who avoid going to networking events because they don't want to be solicited. So if it's all about you making your sales pitch, they're going to automatically ears off. You want to take a sincere interest in them. And if you don't have a sincere interest, walk away. Don't take their time.
Here's another one that really is a big part of it. If you think your brand doesn't work, it does. People may not comment, people may not like things, people may not share, but people are watching. And I say this all the time, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So we're going back to, I know Tiffany Green, I know Chris Mayfield, and all of a sudden I know those two brands are aligned. They get it. So when I'm talking to someone, I walk into them, oh, Mike's here. And Mike, you need to talk to that person. So it cuts out a number of those other interactions. So it makes the networking easy because you're walking into people who at least know your brand, which is a big one. So I put mine out there. Some people are more strategic. I'm just putting it out there so people can see who we're talking to and who's aligned with you. And when you walk into a place, people know, oh, wow, Tiffany's here. Oh, wow, Chris Mayfield is here. I talked to him about this that long ago, or we need to talk to Stacie about operations. Whatever it is, let people know your brand every day. Everyone knows where Walmart is and they still advertise. Everyone knows where Chick-fil-A is. And they're doing this, Tiffany, we've had this conversation. They're doing that in 6 days. And everybody else is hustling for 7 days worth of work. They're doing it in 6, and they're making you smile while you're spending more money than you want to.
The reason why they do that is because it's about being a part of the Evoke set. We only have room for 7 brands in our brain regarding specific products or services. So if you stop getting that brand awareness out and putting that brand in front of people, you lose that spot of the Evoke set, so they're not going to think about you. But I see Stacie's up mute. Stacie, first, I want to ask Laura, give her an opportunity to tell us a little bit about her business and then go back to giving her advice. But she asked a networking question. I think we kind of felt hot about like a couple quick pointers of networking.
No, these are super helpful. Thank you very much. I'm Laura Kastner. Good morning. I am a recent owner of a new business, trying to venture out and use my skills that I have from research, education, and communication in new ways. And so my real goal is to support busy people, reduce their mental load, and give them more time to pursue joy. When I think about the burden of raising family, caring for potentially aging adults, having a career, it means that there's a lot of things in the to-do list. And while I can't necessarily go to the grocery store for you every week, I can help you brainstorm and think through processes for how to make your life run more smoothly, how to take things off your plate that you can systematize, things like that. So a lot of what Stacie described in her business, but in a personal sphere. So that is essentially what I'm thinking about. Thus far, examples of projects I've taken on have been planning a surprise 50th birthday party for a man's wife, because he's like, this is not my deal, and I need some help. For another friend, it was looking at co-parenting schedules between her and her ex-husband and figuring out when they could possibly get away, when you add in travel sports, for a vacation for a family that wasn't the beach. Okay, great, put me on it. I'll be your thought partner. I'll ask you some good questions. I'll do the research and I'll communicate back some results to you. So thanks very much for taking the question. Definitely, I'm thinking about relationships are something that comes naturally. That's an outflow of this kind of work. And so that is affirming that building from those networks and people that I know is the right move. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. I think a follow-up question we don't necessarily need to address today, but Laura, I think a follow-up question to what you initially asked is, how do I make sure I get paid for my time and I'm not just becoming a friend and doing these things for free? Just saying.
Like, Tiffany.
There are people out there. I am an avid purchaser of services on this panel. Let's just say, they're in purple. They were, they're on my list of people I pay, because I believe in what they do. And there's a lot of connections that have been made. So I'm going to offer a different perspective. Especially, and you don't seem necessarily like an introvert, but for those of us that are, and are not the ones that, like me and Mike, we roll together. So that is one of the things that we have learned, is how to go out in teams but in the buddy system. So that way you don't feel as uncomfortable when you're going out to a networking event. The other piece that's helpful is slow and steady wins the race. Really build meaningful relationships with people one at a time. And as you build those deeper connections with them one at a time, they now get to know the authentic version of who you are and more about what you do, why you do it. And that is an easier conversation for them to have. I recently had a conversation with Christina offline, and, we found a lot of synergies between what we do, but I didn't know her before. And she had a couple of connections with one of my team members, plus the MPWR. And you'll find Richmond is a very small community, and everybody knows everybody if we're not somehow related to some way or another. We've worked with each other. We've gone to high school with each other, something of that nature. And so the spider web of Chesterfield and Richmond, even you mentioned Goochland, is pretty tight. So that is one thing, is just develop those, like Tiffany said, find one person that you can go in. The other things that I have found recently is finding networks. So you happen to work, with people, right? It's not specifically business to business. It's more person based, is find networks of things that you enjoy. So I enjoy, I'm big into church and Christianity and things of that nature. So recently I've joined into a group called Needle's Eye that was told to me, and it's for professionals who are Christian and just want to break in the middle. And so there's a lot of networking and cohorts out there that have interest-based, and commonality, and that puts in ease. So we have a women's network, and walking into that women's network, I don't know the ladies that are in there, but I do know the type of general people that they are. And then coming on here, getting to know different people one-on-one, we've been able to expand just by, a recommendation from somebody that was on here is now connected me with, a client that we're having a great time, helping her out. And so it just can grow slowly. I feel like sometimes I go into events and people are exuding a panic because they need to get as many cards as they can get, or talk to as many people as they can. Sometimes it's quality over quantity.
I would also say when you're looking at networking, focus on the psychographics of the people you really want to help. So immediately I'm wondering if you're trying to target women, especially women who maybe have busy careers and family lives and whatnot, they may be going to the gym extraordinarily early in the morning. So maybe going to the gym extraordinarily early in the morning. Just saying, sometimes you gotta go out of your comfort zone. But if that's where they are, you gotta meet them where they are. Just a thought.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Empower Hour. Tiffany Greene here. She is the Princess of Purpose. And we're talking about purpose in business, networking right now. One of the groups that I really like for me when I first got here, it really set me up was the group Synapse. It was different because it wasn't chop like the military, like some of the other organizations. They were out there just not collecting business cards, but there was a rigid scheduling. You had to bring referrals and all those things. And I'm like, seems too much like the Army for me. But Synapse, I thought it was networking based on good. And so that set me up for the amount of people and the type of people who kind of set this whole thing in place. People who rock with us understand it's the power of people, of who you know. And so that's a part of this whole networking thing, getting to the right people who put your brand out there, who want to help you, as opposed to, I got to collect these cards. Hey, let me get 15 minutes to pick your brain, or let me talk. No, stop it. Stop. That's the 80s and 90s. That's the Gordon Gekko back in those days, always be closing and all that. If you put people first, it opens doors for you. People will want you to come to events. And then it won't be like, oh, well, I'll try and, would you like for me to send you the invite? They're going to send you the invite. They just want you to show up because of the positive energy that you're bringing into a room. Ain't that right, Tiffany Greene?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, that is true.
And we've thrown in there Chris Mayfield. So you are the Princess of Purpose, and he is the captain of Kumbaya. You guys deserve each other.
Chris, you want to sing?
Oh, I'm supposed to be talking. Okay, my name's Chris Mayfield. I own a small organizational development and leadership development firm here just outside of Richmond. I live in New Kent, which, as a lot of you may know, could be a haul to get to Richmond. So when I do venture into to Richmond for networking events, and I've just been thinking about the question as I've been sitting here trying to drink my coffee, listening to Mike flap his gums about the Army. I'm a Marine, so I got to pick on Mike a little bit. I've had clients come to me years after they met me at a networking event, and it's always only because I always ask people about why they're in the room and their purpose, never about what they do, but focus back on their purpose for being there. Hey, it's good to see you. Why are you here? Right? Oh, I'm trying to grow my business. Oh, really? Tell me about your business. Tell me about your life. Tell me about how that, and then, maybe they'll grab your card. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll call you tomorrow. Maybe they'll call you 2 years from now. But always leave that conversation better than you found it, I guess. Always refocus back on purpose, not your purpose, because I'll tell you a secret, nobody cares about you. Focus on their purpose in those meaningful 2-minute conversations, and you'll win every single time. Whether it's a referral or whether they call you for actual work or they call you just to share with you. I have people call me up and say, "Hey, we talked about a year ago, and I just wanted to let you know, here's what I'm doing, and here's how I think you could help me." So those are always great phone calls to have. But I would say going in, practice those 2-minute purpose conversations, a little bit longer than an elevator speech, and start learning your own best practices on how do you get to a purpose, a person's in the shortest amount of time that's authentic to you and them during the conversation. And you will sidestep a lot of the sales tactics that Mike King was just talking about. So that's my advice on. I don't necessarily focus on.
Oh, Chris froze.
Chris froze up. Alrighty, so here on the mic, Chris Mayfield, he froze up. He was back, ladies and gentlemen.
I prefer
the down.
Yeah, I prefer the shotgun effect. I go to a meeting with the intention of meeting everybody there and sharing a couple minutes with them and learning about their purpose, and then leaving it there with no pressure to do anything. And those that do call me are my friends for life, so to speak.
Another thing I want to add, because as you were talking, Chris, you spurred an idea in my head, and I apologize. I only get about 1 million a minute, so it's hard. And so I have to let some of them go or my head will explode. But if you follow Sarah Blakely, who invented Spanx, one of the things she did to get her foot in the door was literally mail a shoe to the buyer to say she was trying to get her foot in the door, and then she'd have to go back to get the shoe, so she'd still have her pair of shoes. So that's great.
Good.
So yeah. So what I'm thinking for you is, where are your people? They're at the grocery pickup. They're getting their groceries through Uber Eats. Create some strategic partnerships with those people who are always working with those people, and do something crafty and memorable.
A shoe, that is a good one.
That's a point.
Yeah, that's definitely a creative marketing and I do have enough pairs of shoes to make that happen. But I guess Laura, I love your website. It's awesome.
Thank you.
One of the questions that I would have almost immediately for you if I was your coach was, in order to break into a market, disrupt a market, change a market, you either have to be very affordable, more affordable than anything in the market, or you have to have a feature that makes the current thing obsolete. So the current thing being time scheduling apps or ordering groceries on your phone. So just out of curiosity, what is your market position and your competitive advantage would be what I did not see in the website, although it's beautiful. But I would say, how are you better than Uber Eats, right? Or
oh, I'm not.
Time scheduling app. That's what I would be, because that was the first thing that came to my mind whenever I opened your website.
Great. Thanks, Chris. I think I may have some of that content, but it may be a bit buried. So let me think better about that. Thanks for that.
Very quickly, Laura. So Laura, you are a fixer. You're the person who, you catch it all. If I don't want to do, you are what Stacie is on the business side. That's what you do on the personal side.
As best I understand Stacie's business, that sounds right. And to clarify, I can't necessarily do the grocery orders for you, right? But I can think through, what are some systems? Let's talk about your tried and true recipes that you already like, or if you need some, I'll get you some. Let's lay this out in a way that you can reduce your mental load every week. Let's come up with like a 4-week thing, and then you can rotate that through. Or let's say you're really struggling with communicating with a co-parent about schedules about kiddos. Let's talk about how we can build some systems where it reduces that stress and those friction points, but helps you do that. So it's more of a thought partnership than it is about sometimes doing the actual day-to-day tasks. So where I see there's TaskRabbit and there's the Uber Eats, as Chris brought up, which I, again, can never beat. As someone who's in a rural area like you, Chris, I don't get Uber Eats. And so when I travel, that is gold to me. I'm not necessarily competing with that. It's more in the thought partnership and a compassionate friend. I also, again, having a research background, an education background, and a communication background, all of those pieces together, being able to listen to someone as a compassionate friend, dial in on what is your problem, and helping to design something that works for them is really, it's more of the life systems and the thought partnership than it is the day-to-day tasks. But great question. Thanks for clarifying.
And
Hey,
Laura,
real quickly, one question.
Laura?
Laura.
wait, Mike, Laura, what I'm also hearing Laura say, she's helps people prioritize, because I think for the busy people, they know they have 20 things on their list and they might not be able to do all 20. Just like a business owner, you have to prioritize what are my top 3. So am I right? Like
A lot of executive functioning skills coming in here, for sure.
Yeah.
So she is doing basically what I do on the technical business side. We do the same thing. She's just doing it on the personal side. There's a lot of times, or when I do 101 trainings, I try to relate it to a personal event that we do, like making dinner. What's the process 101 for how to serve up dinner? So we do have alignment. We're just on the opposite ends of that, but there's a lot of professionals out there that are overwhelmed, that are looking to buy back their time, and I think you have opportunities.
Thank you. Really helpful. And thanks for reiterating it that way, Tiffany, in a way
Very
that
quickly. So Laura, definitely, that's something I hadn't heard of. But it's like, have you ever heard of Friendship Circle?
No, sir.
Friendship Circle, what they do is they help families with children who have developmental issues. And they teach other families and kids how to be friends with them, because they say, we understand the medical part, we understand all of that need to take care of, but people need friends. And so they teach kids who don't have, developmental issues to be friends with others, because the ones with disabilities and their families need friends. That makes them different. What you're talking about, you're the Stacie Goodman, the operations things on a personal side. I'm sure there are other people out there, but they're not talking it like you are. And that's the one that's going to make you different from everyone else, because people get that.
That's right. I mean, that's essentially what I'm finding, right? They're the people who can do the low level, not at low level, not as a pejorative, right? But things that are like, I'll pick up your dry cleaning, I'll do this. And I'm like, let's think through who's sharing the mental load in your house. Can we have hard conversations maybe with you and your partner, or you and your kids, about how they can see the work, make it visible, and talk about how we can redistribute this in a way that's a little bit more equitable in your home, right? And so those kind of things, in my mind, it's that thinking piece, that like compassionate advocate type piece is something that's missing in the market. So yes, I do think it's unique. I'm really excited about it. I've had 5 clients so far in the first month and a half, which is encouraging to me. And again, mostly through friends and personal connections, or like, again, even like ancillary, like, oh yeah, I know you from the pool and I saw that, So I'm getting good feedback. I just was curious about, I am always careful about my relationships and never want people to feel like something's transactional. And so I don't want to put too much of a weight on friend groups and friend networks. I'd much rather have people come to me, right, at any business owner stream, and say, yeah, this is what I need, versus being like, hey, can I call in a solid? That's not, I don't like money that much. I'd much rather have my friendships.
Well, no wonder you're on here with Tiffany Greene.
I do like her, the little I know.
Exactly.
There's one element I'll say on this, because listening to this and going through it as well, business owners are focused a lot on their business, and we're running 100 miles an hour trying to keep up with everything that we need to do. And if we have children and lives, especially some of the female executives, but also some of the young male executives as well, being able to buy back our time, and it's hard to understand that concept, but you only have so many minutes, and there are certain things that it pays you to outsource. So if your fee is less than what it would cost me, where I could potentially be working or generating revenue, and you're able to help alleviate some tasks, that's great. So those are some of the runners, the tactical people. You might get an executive assistant. But what you're offering is on the other side of the, away from the business. What other things can you do to help make the household lifestyle more efficient, more effective? And I think it is an opportunity to pitch that to to business owners and executives of, I think Christina put in there, I can save you X amount of time that you could then use to, make money, which is, so for me, outsourcing, cleaning my home, having a house cleaner agency come in, that could take me, it takes them 4 hours for 2 people or whatever. That's at least a full day of my day. I don't have a full day to give to that. It's not that I don't want to clean my house. It's just, it's the opportunity cost that we're looking at. The same thing with, mowing your yard, those types of things, they add up over time. And I think you can look at those types of positions and look at that market, not just necessarily women, but people in general, on how to buy back their time. Yeah, Brian has something.
Yeah, I was thinking one of the things you might want to consider is potentially partnering with other business coaches, because their clients are going to be people who are already open to having a third party come in to help them with things. And most of those business coaches are not going to want to also be the personal coach for their family issues. So a lot of times business coaches hear their clients talk about those types of issues. And so if you make the relationship with those types of business coaches, they might be able to say, hey, this is outside of my scope, but I know somebody that this is their space and they might be able to help you. So I would tend to also focus on people that are going to have the same types of clients that you are looking for.
Brian, that's a great idea. Thank you. And Stacie, your insight as well. Thanks for that.
I think counselors, to that point, I was in that conversation, I was thinking friends of mine who are counselors are always looking for that kind of resource. Hey, you need to be doing this. You need to be putting systems in place. So let me give you a resource where you could go talk to somebody I know, somebody I trust, to take that to the next level.
Very quickly, hey, Christina, how you doing out there? Could you tell us more about what you do? I don't know if we missed you there. Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike. My name is Christina. It's good to see everyone on the call. Well, I'm Christina. I'm a change strategist and the CEO of CMDA Consulting. I help small to medium-sized growing businesses, and in particular, their leaders. And when we have they're usually moving from a founder who is used to being really hands-on, and they begin to need to systematize and operationalize different aspects of their business. And I focus on the people side of the business. So I'm really passionate around bringing your employees and your people in the center of your processes and your change. And so I focus a lot on the employee experience aspects of that. So I'm the change management advisor, and I'm here to answer any questions around change, but also happy to talk about the intersection of change, purpose, and the employee experience.
So
Well, you are
basically,
definitely in the right place, madam.
Yeah, she helps us to the things that I want to implement in a business. She helps to get the people to buy in and accept those changes.
Cool. So, Christina, tell us what you see right now in the marketplace. What's the number one thing that you think businesses are struggling with now?
Well, right now, I can imagine our businesses are moving into Q4. So we're in the last few months where I imagine we've got some final end of year priorities that a lot of companies are looking to address, close up. We're coming out of August into September. So I think now is I get things done time, and I begin to prepare for next year time, with the uncertainty also of elections coming up as well, and potentially changes coming down the line and impacts for businesses. So I think companies are thinking about a really busy time of the year, and beginning to prepare for next year. So that's what I think, like big picture. And so when I think about how we might be supporting businesses now is what are the things that you need to help make sure you're aligned and ready to wrap things up for the year and begin to prepare for next year. It's a hard time of the year when you're both looking ahead at operations and trying to look ahead at the same time.
How about the people? How about the people part? How are the people doing now in businesses and organizations?
Oh, certainly that varies company by company. For a lot of bigger companies, they're starting to move into either talent development times or end of year performance management. So that's usually a big thing towards the end of the year for medium to larger size companies from the people perspective. Also, folks are, when you're thinking about budget planning for next year, that's a big part of impacting for org redesigns are generally happening around this time of the year. What resources and talent do I need to support my, my strategies for the upcoming year? So that's important. And then we're thinking about employee engagement and experience around this time of the year. Sometimes pulse surveys come around this like end of Q3 or early Q4 to get a pulse on how the sentiment, culture, and engagement are doing for companies around this time of the year. Once again, to use that data to ideally inform planning for next year.
There you go, Tiffany Green.
Mike, we want to address another question. This is a headline that's made the AP Press, so I want to throw it out, see what people think. Specifically, John, we're going to put John. John's been quiet this Empower Hour, so here's your chance, John. Here's your chance. This is going to be a little bit, this is opinion, I think, but let's give you a chance to talk about something. So, for small businesses have concerns about all the fake online reviews and testimonials that are being put up on, Google for Google reviews and LinkedIn and Facebook. And they're hoping that the FTC can help with these fake reviews. Anything we should be thinking about in terms of that? Anything that might be coming down the pipe that might help with this?
I'm not aware of anything specifically that's coming down the pipe. That doesn't mean they aren't looking at various ways to try to control some of it. I mean, it can be a difficult situation for small businesses. It can be hard to take down. If they lead over or lean all the way into like defamation, which some of them do, then you've got some easier sort of avenues to try and get them taken down or combat them. Like generally speaking, some things around it are to respond to them but think about what you're going to say. Don't just put a snap response up there. Write something, look at it, think about it again, but address it. I know lots of clients that have success addressing them behind the scenes, one-on-one with the people, and they can work out a resolution, and they'll either remove the review or they'll edit the review. But yeah, as far as the government regulating, I'm not aware of anything specific. Wouldn't surprise me if they were looking into it though.
I heard a lot of golden nuggets in what you said, John. So if you could imagine a client calls you up, they're just pissed. There's somebody, they just saw a bad Google review. They think that was intentional, that this person's just malicious. They call you up because you're their attorney and they say, John, dang it, this review is really ticking me off. What do I do? What can I do, John? What are you going to tell? What's the steps you're going to walk them through?
So first, I'd probably tell them to make sure that it wasn't completely false. So it's rarely completely false. I mean, there's usually enough in there where it's not like actionable defamation, because a lot of this is subjective. So someone doesn't like the picture you painted for them, but that's out of your control. So one of the things I typically do is have them think about reaching out directly to the individual off the internet, off of chat, wherever the review was left. Don't engage with them back and forth between there. Phone call if you can. If not, email. And then see if you can come to an understanding. That tends to be fairly successful. Most people have put some sort of reaction up there as like a snap judgment. Everyone, people are online too much and have too much of a platform to just talk about things. But so start there. If that doesn't work or they're not able to do it, then usually it's a good idea to respond on the message board or the review, wherever you have it, but in a measured way where you're not attacking the person or the individual who put it up there. So if you can objectively respond to them, and then usually put an offer in there that you're happy to speak with them offline about any of the issues. If it's really egregious, and I've seen this happen before, where it's really bad and or they violate some sort of confidentiality by putting information on there, you can usually contact whatever site it is and see about getting it removed. But it's hard in general to get them taken down.
There you go, John Rabil with nuggets of knowledge for us here on the Empower Hour. My King, Tiffany Greene, this is her superhero squad of business professionals who are out there offering amazing insight. Here's one that I thought about when we talk about that, Tiffany Greene. What do folks think about reputation management as a function to bring people in so that you can keep your good name out there and cut down on scandalous remarks and reviews? What's everyone's thought process on that?
My thought process on it is we go back to Public Relations 101, and if you are hiring people for reputation management because there's a lot of negative press you're getting, the issue isn't the negative press, it's the issue is what are you doing wrong to resolve the problem. And I know that there's a lot of, I'm going to pick an industry, which is the medical industry. It's also not a wise move to filter all your testimonials and reviews. Nobody is perfect, so it's actually wise to have some reviews on there that say, maybe a 3 or 4 and be like, this was good, but this could have been better. It makes it a little bit more realistic. But if you see reviews on there and like, absolutely fantastic, best doctor I've ever been to, like constantly over and over again, people that distrust that just as much than having a couple bad reviews. Reputation management goes back to purpose. If you're living out your purpose and you're living out your core values, that's how you actually manage your reputation. It's like you say to John, if you're calling John up when you've been served, it's a bit late.
So I'll add to that. So my mom has had a service station, automotive service station for 40 years. And when we put her online, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago, there was an opportunity at that point, I think it was through Yelp, for people to give feedback. And when you're in an automotive service center situation, my car's broke. That's a very stressful situation for someone to be in anyway. You don't always know exactly what the root cause is sometimes, and you'll find something, but then there's 3 other things that are wrong with the car as well. And you have to make those phone calls and say, all right, we found this, but we also found this and this, and you're going to need those. And that cost adds up and people aren't ready for that cost. And there's a lot of emotional reaction on a human level, right? It doesn't mean that the mechanic that found the problems did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that the desk manager who made the phone call to give you the bad news, the messenger, did anything wrong. But it is very, much the person's way they're receiving it and what's going on in their life that influences how they react. One of the things that I have watched my mom's company do well over the 40 years in this industry that can be highly volatile or opinionated in how they think you've done, is that they are very open to saying, we're sorry that you felt that way. We're, please come back and, and they warranty anything that they have done, but they also will say, we're here, but there are things that we can't control. And it's a matter of how you manage the people. Some companies will blow you off and they're like, your car was busted, it's not our fault, and they move on. Other people will actually take an initiative to engage with the human and try to be somewhat empathetic to a degree of what they can and cannot do to help them out. And I think that goes to the brand persona that they're putting forward and the reputation that they have in the community. So over 40 years, there's no way there's not, and I know that there's not situations where that haven't escalated because of a particular personality. Or, you know, if there was a mechanical issue, maybe a part went bad, you know, and when you buy it, you don't know that the part's bad. You assume it's good, put it in the car. They will take action to rectify the situation if it was within their control. And then they will take action to work with the individual, as John had described before. And that has kept them in business and viable for over 40 years, you know. So service matters, people relationships matter, authenticity, and really walking your walk, and the talk you talk, you know, of your purpose and your why makes a difference, and people can tell that, and challenge some of those, like you can say fake reviews with IA, you know, coming out there and everybody being able to throw whatever they want to. I think you really have to know who you're doing business with, and as to the best of your ability. Yes, Chris?
I 100% agree with your answer, or your advice. So I categorize this in two ways. One, what about that feedback is in my control, and what is not in my control you can't control. How a person feels about the service or the cost of that service that you provided, but you certainly can have that calming, soothing, purpose-driven conversation with them about that. The other thing is, Christina might tell you, take that and operationalize it. If that is a legitimate feedback, how am I implementing that inside my organization to mitigate or eliminate that type of feedback? So those are all learning opportunities. And Luna would tell you that you take every opportunity to, whether you think it's small, because if that one person has said it, somebody else has thought it. So if you just allow it to grow, then you get, you know, John involved, that he's got to send a cease and desist letter and all those things to keep them from commenting on your site. But so yes, deal with it emotionally, but also deal with it operationally.
I agree with you, and Luna is very smart kitty.
Yeah, she is.
Because
she is so
there's
smart.
a difference in how you approach it. If you go to Chick-fil-A, I don't care if you like them or not. If you go through there and at the end of there, you know, they say, you know, it's, you know, you say thank you, and they say, you know, my pleasure, have a great day. That makes you feel good no matter if you like them or not, versus going through another fast food place that throws something at you and may or may not speak to you. You know, that's just a means to an end. And so there's a complete operational choices that you make in how you deliver your service or product. Sometimes, you know, we used to have, you know, cards that would go out to old school, right? Birthday, you know,
it still works.
No, it's a customer's birthday. My mom, like I said, my mom's been in business, small business, small community. They may know it's a customer's birthday or something like that from talking to them. They may send them a card.
Still works.
You know, that stuff is not, it's old school in our world today, but it makes a difference.
There you go. The empowerment Tiffany Green is here.
Mike, I'd like to share, because this is kind of hitting on something I experienced on Monday. So I'm not going to name the name of the business, but I was at a business on Monday waiting patiently. And the business got a phone call saying, and I know this because I could hear the person who answered the phone. And they received a phone call saying, hey, is that other shop open? And the person who answered the phone, who actually was the general manager of this location, said, I don't know, ma'am, that's owned by a different franchise owner. And the ma'am says, well, can you just find out for me? Because I can't figure out if it's open or not. And she starts laughing. Ma'am, I just told you that's under a different franchise owner. We don't have access to their stuff, but I'm sure if you call them and they don't answer their phone, then obviously they're not open.
Whoa.
Right? She ends up hanging up the phone, and I'm like, there's gonna be a bad review. And right, because that person who was on the other side of that phone call doesn't give two rats fill in the blank of who owns that location. right? Because when we're in business, whether or not, whatever your culture is, whatever your brand is, I still say people like to argue with me on this, and I love it. So we can do this another time if you'd like to get into the debate where people like, customer's always right. And they're like, no, it's not, that's not true. I'm like, even when they're wrong, they're right. Because you have to acknowledge the feelings. You have to acknowledge it. Feelings, it's how many times have you been in an argument with somebody and they like to argue that their situation is worse? How well does that work for you? Doesn't work ever, right? So you got to acknowledge the pain point. And so the irony of that situation is by them not actually doing anything to help that person out on the other line, it may be owned by a different franchise owner, but to that person, it's still the same brand.
Well, and I learned that working in consulting when I was at Accenture. I went and did a stint down with Home Depot in Atlanta. And that is a store at the time, and I'm pretty sure they're the same. They had 1,800 stores, but their system is black boxed into each store. The store can't tell you if that product's in another store down the street. So if you're a Midlothian and you want to know, if it's there in Broad Street, they can't tell you. And so sometimes that was a challenge that creates that situation, but how they handle it, or if they can call and ask, even if they can't see on the computer, that customer service just sets you apart. And that was one of the things that blew my mind of a company that large, where Lowe's had an integrated system and they could see where it was in the next, store around. But franchises are very different and very, they're independently owned and operated, but you still have a brand that you all share. And, that's sometimes gets lost, and it depends on who the franchise owner is. Is it, to Chris's point, have they operationalized and systematized the way they respond to customer inquiries or complaints?
Thank you, Stacie. Mike, you want to wrap us up? I know we only got 1 minute.
Here we go. All right, on the mic, Mike King here. This has been the Empower Hour, Tiffany Greene. Hey, this has been good as usual. She brings in the best and the brightest, coming in and talking about, and at the center of all of it is purpose. It is the power of purpose being in an organization. There is a definite bottom line benefit to people getting along, that whole kumbaya thing. Tiffany Greene, I'm not in studio today, but whenever you walk in, we got the music playing, which is okay. She is not going to sing it for us, ladies and gentlemen, but you can get all the information on the website, Empower People, that is MPWRPeople, # she is the Princess of Purpose. Folks, Mike King out. We got to go. They got stuff to do here. They can't hang out with me all day. Folks, take care. Thanks now. See you.